Welcome to the Power Bank Challenge. Today we're going to use this ice maker to fill this cooler half full using the Bluetti and the solar panels. So let's get started. So I have the solar panels hooked up to the Bluetti, but the Bluetti is already charged, so it's not doing anything just yet. I have the extension cord running to the ice maker. I have the ice maker full of water. The cooler is empty. And we'll hit the power button and get this started. So let's look at the Bluetti display. So right now it says we have 55 watts coming in. We had 55 watts coming in. We're using 8 watts right now to start the ice maker. That'll go up in a minute. But as I start using power for the ice maker here, the solar panel should start charging to make up when. Hopefully, if it stays sunny long enough, I can run this all day long outside, and we'll see how much of the cooler we can fill. The red ice maker I was using kept overloading the Bluetti, so it was going above 600 watts. So I tried 3 times on this one, and it did the same thing all 3 times. I took it into the house, I checked with my watt meter. It is using more than the 600 when it first starts. So same thing with this one. I plugged in the first time, it overloaded also. This was the one I did the video on previously. I ran it in my trailer, which I have more capacity in my trailer. The second time I tried to run this, it started. I don't know if you can see, this light is green. Large ice cubes is green. It's running. So it's running for now. We'll see if it keeps running. If it doesn't, maybe I'll get a larger power bank out. But right now we're charging, and we're running on the gray ice maker. So right now we're using 211 watts. We have 70 watts coming in from the panels. So 2.5 hours in, and the Bluetti is at 0. I'll show you what I got. I only got a little bit of ice. I turned off the ice maker right now, but the Bluetti is powered off. The solar panels kept blowing around in the wind, so I wasn't getting good charge. The ice maker is using 200 watts. I was only putting 100 watts in, so it's not going to last for very long. So technically I failed with the small Bluetti. So you can see the Bluetti. I got it hidden in the shade. To help with the solar panels, I put some weight on the back here, some wood, but I also stuck some twigs into the corner eyelets and stuck one in the ground. You see this one here. I got one over on the other side. But that would help keep them from blowing over. I didn't catch that soon enough. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use my bigger power bank. I'm going to get some more panels out. I'll probably get at least 3 panels. And we'll see if we can run enough ice for the rest of the day. And we'll see if it's possible with 300 watts of solar. And this battery bank is probably about 3 to 4 times the size of the Bluetti. But that's not what we really needed. What we really needed was more panels. So let me grab the panels out and I'll show you my setup. So we're set up again and we're running. I have the Bluetti over there still charging. I'll leave it hooked up charging. I don't need the extension cord now because I have the 3 panels out there, and I got a long enough cord on this unit that I can put the power bank up here, put it on the table, and keep it in the shade. I can keep the ice maker in the shade and keep the cooler in the shade. I got to keep walking around the tree as the shade changes. So right now it says I'm using 67 watts. I'm putting in power from the solar panels are coming in. I have 12.36 volts and the battery's still at 100%. So with 3 panels I should be good, maybe even with 2. I could try unplugging one of them a little bit and we'll see if that keeps up. But we started the ice maker again, so I still have the ice that I made from the Bluetti. We'll leave that in there. It's almost 1 o'clock. We started at about 10 o'clock on the Bluetti. So we didn't get very much ice in the 2 hours, but let's see what we can get in the next few hours. The goal again was to fill the cooler up halfway. It's been an hour. I just dumped more into the cooler. Still not a lot of ice yet. So let me show you what's going on. I'm going to unplug the solar panels. So with the solar panels unplugged, I got the cord up here. The arrow is going out of the battery or away from the battery, so that means we're using 202 watts from the battery. So then as I plug in the solar panels, which is 300 watts, so without the panels connected, we were using 200 watts. With the panels connected, we're down to 8 watts. I can't tell if we're using it or we're charging with it. There it says we're outputting 33 watts. So three panels are probably just enough to keep up. I'm going to go unplug one right now and let's see what happens. So I unplugged 2 panels, so I only have 1 panel hooked up. So we were using 200 watts. So right now we're only using 92 watts. So that's about 100 watts probably we're putting into it from the panels. But because this arrow still shows we're going out, percentage should drop. So what that means is we still need 116 more watts of panels so that we can keep this at 100%. So I'm going to plug the 2 panels back in so I make sure I get more than the 117. And we'll continue with the challenge. It's been 1 hour since my last dump. So I probably got about a half a tray. So you can see there's water in the bottom of the cooler. So the ice in the cooler is melting. We'll let this keep going. On the panels, I still only have 1 hooked up. We're at 85%. We're outputting 90 watts. So you can see how 1 panel isn't enough. I'm going to connect 1 more up. We'll watch and see where it goes for the next hour. It's been about an hour, 15 minutes. We're full again. I'm going to dump this. So might as well wait. We're at 63%. It's dropping a little bit. We got all 3 panels hooked up. So you can see it looks like it says 78 watts are still going out. So we'll probably be able to run this some even after the sun sets. I don't think I'm going to get to my half of a cooler, but we'll see what we can get. It's 8 o'clock. I got some more ice to dump. So we'll have about 2 full gallon size bags of ice cube and 1 partial bag of melted ice. And then it says we still have 25%. left, which probably would be about 1 more hour of running. So in summary, I learned a lot today myself. So basically we made 2 of these 1-gallon bag fulls of ice cubes. And out of the bottom of the cooler, this was how much of the ice cubes that had melted. So we probably got 2.5-gallon bags of ice cubes. I was probably hoping for twice that. So technically we failed, and we probably failed on more than one occasion in this one. On previous videos with this Frigidaire, which is one I keep in the trailer. So today, they actually look identical. So today, I used the one that I have in the house, and I could not get that to run on here. So I could see on the display that it was going over 600 watts, and it was faulting out. So I tried 3 times with this on the Bluetti, and I couldn't get it to run. I went in the trailer and I got the Frigidaire ice maker, and the first time I tried it, it faulted out. So in the previous videos, I just ran them in the trailer. I checked the wattage, and they didn't come nowhere near the 600 watts, but I really wasn't looking for the spikes, and I can't see that on the kilowatt that I use. So when I hooked this one up to the Bluetti for the first time, it also faulted out. I tried it a second time, and I got it to run. And once I got it to run, it ran for probably 2.5 hours. I probably wasn't checking it frequently enough. So one of the times I checked it, the ice was all the way up to the top. And once it's up to the top, it triggers a sensor and it quits running. So I probably could have got more ice out of it if I would have checked it more frequently. And it used 212 watts. So the 2 panels that I had hooked up to here were only feeding an additional 120 at the most. I think I was getting right around 100. So what I was hoping for was that the solar panels would be able to make up whatever I'm using, and I could run it all day long. So I was only able to run this for about 2.5 hours, which is the 260 watts. I was using maybe 100 watts more. So after about 2.5 hours, that come out to be pretty close. So I gave up on the Bluetti. This is the smallest one. They do make 2 other small units that are a little bit bigger. So this is 600 watts of runtime. There's a 700 watt and then an 800 watt unit. Either one of those 2 would probably run this ice maker. But they also have the same problem. I can only hook up 200 watts of panels to all 3 of these. So I wouldn't have enough power to run all day in theory. If I had a 200 watt panel, which my panels are 268 watts, which is 120, 130 watts. So I'm not even near the 200. But if I did have a 200 watt panel, and this is using 212 watts, I probably could come close to, using 12 watts an hour, plus this draws about 10 watts an hour. So it's 22 watts an hour. I could run this for about 10 hours if I had a 200 watt panel. The 2 next models bigger than this one also have the 200 watt limit. So all 3 of these models can only take a 200 watt panel. So the same problem would be I could run any one of those and still not make up what I'm using. But the next 2 units bigger than this has longer capacity. So where I could run this one for 10 hours, probably with a 200 watt panel, I could run either one of the other 2. I think the next one's twice the size of this, and then the third one bigger than this is 3 times the size of this. So I could run this one for 10 hours, the second one for 20 hours, and the other one for 30 hours, which probably would be good enough. But let me tell you what I did on this other one. Same concept as the two that would be bigger. So when that one didn't work, I just went and grabbed this one and I plugged it in. I have 5 panels for this, so 500 watts. That's the max that this will take. I put 3 panels on it, which is 300 watts. And that's if it's 100% out. You know, the sun is full capacity and the panels are full efficiency, which very rarely happens anyways. But with 3 panels, I was producing more power than what I was using. So during the video, like you saw, I took, for a period of time, I took 2 panels off. I only left 1. You see the percentage start to drop. I then plugged in 1 more panel, so I had 2. You could also still see that I was consuming more power than what I was using. So with 3 panels, it was about even, but I still had 2 other panels I could have plugged in. So what I could have done with this one is, because this is 4 times the capacity of the Bluetti, I probably could have started this, it's 1100 watt hours. I could have started running this 4 hours before the sun come up. So I could have started running this at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, started running, been able to get 4 hours of ice before the sun came up, then put 5 panels on here. It would then make more than what I'm producing. And then in theory, by nighttime, so the sun sets, say 8 o'clock, this could have been fully charged, and I could have still ran it for another 4 hours into the night. So as it turned out, between the Bluetti and the Apex, I got about 10 hours of ice production, and I wasn't checking it as often as I probably should have. So several times the container was full, ice production stopped. So maybe I got 8 hours worth of ice production. But if I would have used this to its full capacity, started before the sun come out and finished at night after the sun set, I probably could have had 20 hours worth of production. So probably double what I actually got. And that probably would have got me closer to my goal. I think I got half of what I wanted, which I wanted was half of the cooler. So I might have had about a quarter of it. So I probably could have gotten double the production. But all this kind of stuff is an experiment you play with, and you get used to what you have, and then you learn for next time. So I learned a lot this time. So there is a little bit of differences in these two, even if they are the same. I think well, let's read this one first. So ice making current is 1.5 amps and ice harvest current is 2 amps. This one's written in a different language, so I see a number 1.7 amps and then I see 2 amps. 290 PSIGs, 88 PSIG for low. So I mean, to me, they look like they're the same. Actually, this one has a different refrigerant. This one is R600A, and the refrigerant here is R134A. So this wouldn't run on the Bluetti. This barely ran on the Bluetti. So I don't think there's too much difference in them. I probably at least need the next size larger Bluetti, and if I do get one, I'll probably run this experiment again. And maybe if I get a larger Bluetti, I'll also buy the larger solar panel. I bought the 2 PV68s, 1 because they were cheaper, and 2 I could fit them easier in my vehicles. I have, with the Apex, I have 5 100 watt panels, which are probably at least twice the size of this, a little bit more than twice the size. and they're not the easiest thing to carry around. So these are nice because they're foldable, but the 200 watt one is more than twice the cost. It's more than the wattage I have here also, but it's also bigger. So even though it folds up, it still would have been awkward to put in a vehicle. So I chose to go the two smaller ones. I don't need it to charge super fast, but it would have helped out in today's case. But I got plenty of other options, so I don't need that. But that's where you learn from what you get. And for me, I still think that something to play with, something to get started on, is buy the cheapest thing you can buy. So this was $209 when I bought it. Actually, Easter time in 2023, which is now. They got a $209 special on this again. A lot of times the sales are like $239. They regularly run $299. But for $209, and then the solar panel, I think was $110. I think regularly $169. It's something to play with and tinker with. And then once you find out what you really need, then go spend more money and get what you want. But you could always have this as a backup to the other. So Bluetti does make a larger unit that's actually bigger than this one. I think it's on sale right now, just under $1,600, and it's probably about the twice the size of this Energy Apex. You can put, I think it was 700 watts of solar panels into it, so that would have made this a lot easier. But that's a lot of money to spend. It's about what I paid for this one. I guess it was like almost 5 years ago. So they've come a long ways in prices. This company has just a few different models, not too many models. The Bluetti has more variety, and I really like the Bluetti models. So I really like this Energy Apex too. They just didn't have anything smaller than this, but I want to buy something smaller, and it's hard for me to recommend something that's almost $2,000. So if you like more videos like this, subscribe to our channel up here and watch more videos down here. Hit the thumbs up button if you would, and have a good day.